In the social convulsions of the 1980s, the General Assembly of the Columbans gathered in Lima in 1982, giving fresh impetus to the Columban Society. This was in the measure that it gathered what had been lived and elaborated since Vatican II, and the contribution of the Church in Latin America, especially Medellin of 1968 and Puebla of 1979, helped towards an understanding of mission as the relation between justice and the gospel, having an option for the poor as the core point of evangelization. In 1983, some prisoners mutinied in the prison of Lurigancho and took some hostages. The Columban sister, Sister Joan Sawyer, was among those taken. Later she was killed when the forces of order opened fire on the ambulance in which the prisoners were fleeing. Her cruel murder affected not only the Columbans, but also the whole Church of Lima and Peru. Her martyrdom illustrated her generous self-giving on behalf of those who suffer imprisonment and are incarcerated in conditions that are less than human. Other important decisions taken by the Columbans was to open up the possibility of accepting local vocations to the Columban missionary priesthood. 6 years went by as this idea matured and became a reality in the region in 1987. Fruit of this undertaking has been the vocations of Fathers Diego Cabrera, current director of the Peruvian region, and Gabriel Rojas, now assigned to the mission in Pakistan. At the end of the 1980s, the Columbans accepted the sectors of Mariátegui and Motupe, Montenegro in Canto Grande, as a response to the unrestrained growth of the population in these sectors. Later on, these two parishes would become part of the new diocese of Chosica. In the political sphere, the decade of the 1990s would be the last and lost opportunity for the political parties in the 20th century. President Alberto Fujimori kept himself in power until the year 2000, after he had won the election of 1990. During his dictatorial and corrupt government came the destruction of the social and political organisation, as well as the powers of the state. After the cowardly flight of Fujimori to Japan, the transition government, led by Valentin Paniagua, created the Truth Commission. This was later ratified by the government of Alejandro Toledo and was expanded to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. This commission had an arduous task in investigating and gathering data.
La comisión ha encontrado que la cifra más probable de víctimas fatales en esos 20 años supera los 69,000 peruanos y peruanas muertos o desaparecidos.
The final report, presented by the Commission, proposes a series of political, social and cultural recommendations in order to achieve justice and national reconciliation. Once the final report of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission had been handed over, many groups, including the Columbans, made it their mission to create a widespread awareness of the findings of the report, motivated by the conviction that the recent events not be repeated. In 1996, 3 new dioceses were created from what had been part of the Lima Archdiocese: Caraballo, Chosica and Lurin. The first Bishop of Caraballo, Monsignor Lino Peniza, entrusted to the Columbans the running and directing of the pastoral social program, in recognition of the important work which they had carried out in this field, especially in the formation of lay people. One of the Columban initiatives through the social program was the campaign for signatures against the foreign debt. It was the Diocese of Caraballo which collected the most signatures of any Peruvian diocese. Throughout its history in Peru, the work alongside lay people has been one of the distinguishing features of the Columban mission. This work encouraged their Christian presence in the world as a special mission of lay people. This work was being consolidated with the creation of the Columban Missionary Collaborators. The mission of the CMC has gradually extended its outreach to parishes on the outskirts of Lima, to the dioceses of Tarma, Huaraz, Ica, and the prelature of Sicuani. and recently to the dioceses of Chimbote and Chachapoyas. In the year 1995, in response to an invitation made by the Columban Society, the region of Peru opened its doors to Columban lay missionaries, men and women coming from other Columban regions. This program was approved in 1994 to formalise the long history of work which lay men and women have in mission. In this way it was hoped to realise the ideal of co-responsibility in the mission of evangelisation. Since then, many Columban lay missionaries have come to Peru from countries such as England, the Philippines, Fiji, Tonga and Chile for periods of 3 years or more. A response to the need to offer lay formation led to the Columbans to build the Centre for Missionary Studies, which draws on the Columban experience in this field, involving the catechetical schools of Comas, Candevilla, Manuel Duato and Buen Pastor. SEM has the mission of strengthening the identity and responsible commitment of lay people in the Church and in society. The seeds of vocation to ordained priesthood have been a blessing and at the same time continue to be a challenge for the region. It is hoped that they will bear fruit. The cultural and social diversity of Columban students will further enrich the Columban mission in the world. A decision to locate all Columban students studying theology saw the initiation of the Theologate in Chicago, while initial formation is done together by students from Peru and Chile. In 2005, the region of Peru made another important decision, opening its doors to receive Peruvians as Columban lay missionaries to work on mission in other countries, thus helping the Peruvian Church fulfill its missionary role. Our first group of 4 Peruvian lay missionaries were assigned to the Philippines. There is still much to write and to construct in the Columban Missionary Society. Our holy patron, St. Columban, used to say, "Much is learned from a life different from your own. A life different from your own can be your teacher." For Columban men and women, it constitutes a call to cross frontiers, just as the bishops at Aparecida said, "Be ready and willing to go to the other shore." The Columbans have been very much to the fore, which can be summed up in the few words. The Columban experience in Peru resides in the great privilege of serving Christ in the poor. Contributions to this task have come from missionaries over different generations and different cultures. There are divergences in points of view, but within these differences, the option for the poor is a reality, followed by all, and not merely as a slogan from some text. At the start, the Columban mission to Peru was not appreciated as was the initial drive to China. But over time, they realised what a treasure they had found, a treasure on which many Columbans have set their heart.